Oh, I've always been a horror fan. Plus, I thought it was a really good tonal contrast between the high drama of Gutterflower and the broad comedy of People Watching. And horrors was something that I'd never really thought about, but it was a really interesting undertaking to do on stage. But I'd seen a lot of stuff at like the Edinburgh Fringe and various other things that showed that you could do it quite well. So in my head, technically, I thought I had quite a few ideas. Some of them worked out quite well. There's still a bit of footage floating about with this. There was a really, really funny sequence where Kayley's character, who's hearing the ghost for the first time during a dinner party, the room is surrounded by other people, but she's standing at the front of the stage carrying a tray of cutlery and various other bits and pieces. With no shoes on. Anything else you want to add to this before?
No, that's important.
Right,
that part
okay.
is important.
So she's standing at the front of the stage with all this, and what's supposed to happen is that Louise is supposed to come out in this sort of ghostly, eerie figure and whisper, Harriet, Harriet, and then scream Harriet at her, and she's supposed to respond. We thought it would be really funny to get everybody else to stand right behind her, big masculine booming voices, and go, Harriet! To which there's some footage floating about, which we'll try and get on the YouTube channel, which shows you just absolutely breaking completely, screaming.
Terrifying. Throwing this tray of cutlery with no shoes on.
It was better that you did it then though, because if you'd done it on the night, the first row of the audience would have been like, stabbed.
It doesn't help, right, that I'm a wee bit of a scaredy cat as it is. I don't really do horrors.
That's why we did it.
Yeah, the joys.
The joys.
Feel the love.
Absolutely.
I'd actually forgot I did 2 roles.
I felt sorry for him. Absolutely, yeah. I felt sorry for Eilidh because Eilidh was like, what's going on? What's going on? And then we just went out and went like, standing behind you, literally like, if I'd have known they were going to do that, I would have totally not told them off. I
I wasn't involved in it, I was good.
Oh, well, I knew that you'd be brilliant as Harriet because you have this lovely soft quality about you, but you also look like somebody who could probably go for a pure mad mental breakdown.
I knew he was going to say that there.
No, not at all. No, not at all. She has a lovely vulnerability. I've seen her in 2 or 3 productions prior to doing that, and you have this lovely kind of softness that I knew that Harriet would work well with, but I knew that you'd be able to bring a bit of metal when you were being more confrontational and towards the end when your character came out of the other side much more positive, because I've seen that in you, and I just think that character was built for you. You and me were kind of secondary. Oh, we were
husband and wife, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was really funny.
That was good.
That was acting. No, but it was really, really good fun. And because we were secondary, because we'd had bigger roles in the other shows, it was nice because the way that the 3 shows were sectioned, it was like you had a big role in at least one of the shows.
Yeah.
So it meant that if you were playing secondary characters, they could bring something to it. But it was nice to be able for you to have the showcase in that particular show. And of course you were hilarious in your interpretation, the sort of psychic.
I know, but I'd actually forgot to just know there because I did a kind of formal character just at the very beginning.
Just say agent and then that was it.
I'd forgotten about that, but
that
very, was good.
In the very early days we didn't have as many cast members as we do now. It's really grown in the last couple of years, but in the we were lots of us doing multiple roles, which was great fun. But that's right, because the 2 characters that you played were really different. The estate agent was very small, very straight-laced, but then you come on as this sort of dippy hippie
kind of
witch hunter type new age. It was really funny.
I loved her.
And she had all her crystals and all that.
Oh, that was so funny. And a comedy element in that works well because horror comedy, the 2 of them kind of very gel well, but it also offsets the really dramatic moments.
Like me not being able to open the laptop.
That was so funny. That's right. You were supposed to go online and research into ghosts in the house and all the rest of it, and you were like, help! It's like, I can't get this open! Just lay down in the front. I'd forgotten about that. Good times. I think there were 2 points where the audience really responded. The first point was when we played out your scene for real, where you got shocked and were screaming, and the other scene where you and Louise had to memorise the same piece of dialogue.
That was really, really. I'll always remember that.
Originally, in the original script, it was a case that Louise was going to stand behind her as the ghost and mouth the words, and you were going to say the words in the tone of the ghost. You know, your voice was going to soften a little bit, and it would be like the ghost was speaking through you. In rehearsals, we thought it would actually be more atmospheric, and it worked out much more eerie.
Yeah, with
The two of you memorising it to the point where you got the intonation right and everything, and it was exactly in sync. And when you did it on the night, people were like, oh,
That was spine-chilling.
that was creepy.
It was a nice effect.
Really.
And once again, another example of writing something on the page that people bring their own spark to, because that wouldn't have happened if we
Yeah, it
hadn't
wasn't
developed
set
these
in stone
characters.
before it started, kind of thing. It's something that just kind of...
And it improved the show. You know, it was much better than the original idea, and that's ultimately what we wanted, the best show we could put on.
It actually reverberated. It was like an echo.
Yeah, because of the venue, and because two people were saying exactly the same thing, it did have this kind of echoey, hollow, ghostly quality, which I think added to the tone of the show. And I think maybe a third part was maybe when Louise came out in the same dress that she'd been wearing the whole time, but it was covered in blood.
yeah.
She hated that. It was tomato ketchup. We bought two gowns that were exactly the same. She had one on for the like 2/3 of the show, then she came on in one that was absolutely covered, but we couldn't find fake blood, so we used tomato ketchup, and she ran straight off because she was really, really sensitive stomach, and she was like, oh, I can't wear that.
Yeah, it was quite horrific in the dressing room too, Dale.
Yeah, thanks for that. Sorry. Clearly they all loved it. I think horror's such a difficult one to script in the respect that a lot of it is reactionary and a lot of it is
The technical side,
exactly.
once it's up.
You
Yeah,
did like, you look at the script and wonder, how is this going to work?
yeah, how's it going to be
is
scary?
No, I am. I scared the cat. I really am. I know I've said it, but reading the script and I was like, all right, that's quite good. But how's it going to be put across?
Yeah, I think with horror it needs to be up on his feet, which obviously it still needs the good script underneath it.
Yeah.
But like when you have that first read through, you're not getting that same effect that the show's eventually going to actually have.
As you went along with the rehearsals, you started to see it really coming together. And then when we finally got the light added into it, that's when it started coming to life. And getting a wee bit scary.
Yeah.
The audience responded to it as well. It was the most technical out of the three shows.
Yeah.
And as a result of, you know, when you read a script, you know when you read a drama or you know when you read a comedy whether you're going to cry or laugh. But you don't know when you read something off the page. I mean, very rarely will you read something off the page and it's scary.
Yeah, you're not like...
You know, if it's a film, if it's a film, something has to be edited or sound has to be put in or something.
Yeah.
The technical stuff is really what makes
Exactly.
a horror. And as we got into more of the technical stuff, once we got more familiar with the script, I think that was what really made it pop.
It was getting quite exciting as well towards the end of rehearsals when we're like, oh, we'll do this light and this light, and you could really, in your mind, even see it coming together. It did get quite exciting.
Because we knew we had that freedom to do that.
There was the certain moments when it actually caught your breath. Obviously I wasn't involved in the horror scenes, but I can remember even in rehearsals just kind of I wasn't expecting it to be so real.
It's nice to have that as well because you don't have to feel that way, but it's nice that if you do, you hope that the audience will feel that way as well.
Yeah.
I think we do it quite well, to be fair. I think the kind of shows that we've done that have been dark and dramatic tend to be the ones that people like really, really remember.
Sticks in their mind, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did. Obviously, we're only talking about the 2012 shows here, but in later shows we did Roulette, which was about the suicide and the two guys just sitting, with a gun in between them, basically blaming each other back and forth. And we've done other shows that have been really well received for their sort of darker elements. That being one of our... I don't think we've done a horror since then, really, but I think it'd be something that we would definitely explore later on, now that we know that we're confident enough to do it. You hope. Don't worry, I'll not make you the fall girl in that one.
It's a runaway crying.
No.
That'll be you.
I'm worse.
She actually is.
This is probably why it's a good idea to get you in.
I know, oh my god.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good fun. It's a genre we haven't done for a while. It's probably up there in the 2015 schedule.
Prepare myself.
You've got that.